I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, special meeting, April 21, 2026. I've called the order, pledge of allegiance, roll call. I have two council, one clerk treasurer, one legal counsel present. First item is adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Oh, I like motion. I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Reading.
I'll second to approve the adoption of tonight's agenda. First item for business tonight is under resolutions, and we're talking about sanitary sewer access, mostly down in the business district. That's what it's called here.
Yes.
I slept since then, sorry. So, we were talking at last meeting about a prescriptive easement. Do we have any notes or updated comments or?
Well, prescriptive easements are things that exist when somebody's already using somebody else's property and there's been no effort made to stop them from doing it. When you're talking about a public sewer or street or anything like that, that's in favor of the town. The issue, the great unknown at the end of the meeting or during the meeting last week was, what exactly are we talking about here? Are these sewer lines that were put in by the town? Are they mains? Are they laterals? How many more are there? Where do they run? Who's on them? How big of a problem do we have? So my understanding was that these guys were going to complete the mapping process, and I guess that has been done.
So you want to report your findings for us?
So at the in-between time, we actually came back, look at our maps here, which are on the table. And we go to right in this area. Luckily with this map, we have every building in town numbered. This is 103 West Washington over here on the corner. This is
101 and then
101. So as we go down this alley that is next to these buildings, there's a manhole. From that manhole, it leads behind the buildings in the business district, and then there's another manhole back here. By these two being manholes connected, that makes it a main. And this mapping is from 2002, so it's at least 23 years old. But the main that is there is a clay main, which is very old. And that is a 6-inch clay main behind there.
So not trying to be stupid, bear with me. How do we know that you said something about, well, there's two manholes, so it must be a main or something? What's the significance of that?
So the manholes were put in by the town to give access in case we ever need to jet them, clean them, or anything that would need to be done.
Not trying to be stupid. Those are town style manholes? I mean, do they say town of Sunman on the lid or anything like that?
They match the brand and everything that is throughout the town. It's one brand, it's Mueller, and they all lined up. So to give you a definitive answer, no, there's nothing that says they're the town. But going off of judgment, that's what I came to.
and it was documented that way by the engineers.
And so, well, that's one. How many more are there?
Yeah. How many manholes there are?
No, how many of these situations do we have where there's more than, where there's a main going under somebody's property? Or two people are on the same lateral or something like that?
That I don't have an answer for you for.
Oh,
Because that would be having to figure it out one would come to them. But going out and finding every manhole and seeing where they go. There's over 1,000 of them in the town.
Okay.
So
I thought we were in the process of doing something.
we are, but it's slow.
It's going to take years to
Yeah.
document.
As of last Thursday, I thought we were gonna be done today. Or at least done with everything in the business district, right?
The business district is as it's mapped right there.
Okay. How many of these common ones are on this map in the business district? Or how do we read it to determine that?
From going from the map, I believe it'd be only these two. It'd be manhole 961 and then, or 981, excuse me, and then manhole 980. Would be those two there. As then these all would be in the streets going out. And then
So
that's
you're
from,
not trying to, again,
Yeah.
bear with me.
yeah, no worries at
Bear
all.
with me. So you're saying we've got 4 total manholes in the business district that are on private property?
Two.
2?
2.
Okay, what about the first 2 you showed?
The first two are the two that are on the property. Anything else is in the street, and that is just what feeds into it. Yes, that's just in the right of way.
Okay,
So all of the town sewers are underneath the street, except for the business district here, and the ones that are going out of town towards the ship, or my apologies, the wastewater plant. I did. My bad. The wastewater plant where it goes out of 101 and goes along the right of way there of the grass on those properties.
And how about to St. Nicholas?
It actually goes through the woods out through
Woods,
there.
okay.
Yep. The wastewater plant, there's I believe it was clay as well, feeding into the entry point of the wastewater plant out there, and then it
Okay.
feeds in that way.
so you're saying that these 2, again, these 2 manholes here.
Yep.
Are, I mean, that looks to me like they're at opposite ends of a pipe. Is that, am I reading that right, wrong?
So the one in the alley, which is this one over here, manhole 980, it feeds in there. It is a dead end there with a 90 going behind the business district.
So that's in the alley.
Yes.
So the town holds the alley. So that one's actually not on private property.
Right.
So really,
So then there's only one.
we only have one in question.
And then that manhole there is actually at a dead end where it comes out of those buildings. It goes into there and then it feeds back into the alley, back out and around.
How many locations is that manhole collecting?
From my understanding, 3, being those 3 buildings.
So somebody got in and saw 3 inlets. Okay.
And when you say that one there, the one that is the dead end,
Yep.
basically?
Yep.
That one's got 3 buildings going into it?
Yes.
So you know what, you probably do, which 3?
It'd be 103, 102, and then 101.
Okay. So this thing, right, whatever that is, that doesn't go into it, for
No,
example?
that feeds into the one that is directly in 101. I don't know why it isn't on this map, but there is as you can see through town, especially down here in this area, because they're all sunken and you hit them with your car, that this main sewer goes right down through here.
Connor, that's what
Yes.
worries me a little bit, what you just said, is you said, I don't know why they're not on this map.
Yes.
Do we know how many more
Yeah.
are not on this map?
Yeah. No, I fully understand that. This map is the best we got, and it's from 2002.
Okay.
If we need to, there's plenty of other maps in the office over there where we can find more to further prove this. That is what we've understood here in the last few days.
Okay. And I may know. Do we know of any examples where there's more than one person on the same ladder?
Inside the apartments, being an apartment building, not sure. Yeah. I don't believe so. Actually, no. There would be one example I can think of. There is a lateral as you're going out down towards Industrial Drive. There's that trailer back there, and then there's also the house.
Okay,
They both feed into the same one.
was that also always, that was originally one piece of property, I think? right?
Yes, I believe,
You know, County Line Road.
yeah, they would all feed into,
Yeah.
because that's all that force main back there. Yeah, that would be, oh goodness, what is it called back there? It is the building, or it's a little cluster of houses. They have their own name for their driveway back there on County Line.
Talking about down by the reed?
Yeah, it's
Right
a,
before the reed?
Harvest or something?
yeah, those are all on the same lateral and they come out to the force main.
Well, that's force main, so. But yeah, those, they probably, if that was done recently enough that they probably have an agreement, we could probably find what they're asking for.
Should be able to.
Problem is, the properties in question were constructed in like the 1800s, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting pretty archaic here.
Well, if it's a plain,
You know,
that's that's gotta be at least 50 years old.
mhm.
We'll be working on replacing those too, in
Mhm.
years to come.
Just for my interest, I would like to ask if I may, back when I worked here, Commonwealth was like, and they had all my maps. When whoever made this, it's a dumb question, like, did they use original maps to make this, or did they where they literally set the camera down every foot of pipe and
I wasn't here in 2002. I wish I could answer that.
because typically when we run a camera from whatever two manholes he said, 980, 989, whatever, the camera's in this manhole, it's 0 feet. We'll run it 10 feet, we'll notice a tap in. We'll put 10 feet on the notes, go another 30, we'll put 40 feet on the notes. So you mentioned you had 3 taps in between the two manholes.
Mhm.
Hopefully you have a 20 foot, a 30 foot, a 40 foot, whatever.
Are they in the line or are they all in the manhole?
They're all in the line.
So the first 3 buildings from manhole 1 to manhole 2, you notice 3 taps into the main line.
That is what you guys
Yeah,
noticed, right,
that's
Austin?
I would have to believe all 3 buildings, when that line was laid from manhole to manhole, all 3 had a promised tap. And that makes that end of story.
That's what you guys discovered, right, Austin? I wasn't actually there for the cameras that day. I was working on the water projects. So Joe and Austin went out there and did the camera.
But another problem we found over years, just because 1, 2, 3 buildings, many times building number 2 didn't have the money, they couldn't afford to dig and run a pipe.
No.
Building 1, building 3 did their job. Building 2 will just come out with a little piece of pipe, put an elbow in it, tap it into building 3. And that's how for years he's been. And sadly, where I just came from, the city of Cincinnati, running in this problem a lot where a particular home sewer line backs up. We find there's grease in it. It's coming from the restaurant next door. The restaurant was never tapped into the main. Because the owner owned both buildings. So now this poor homeowner constantly is having backups because of grease, because of the restaurant. And there's something known as politics that gets political. I was not allowed to force Alabama Barbecue to make their own tap and fix this situation because of politics. So Alabama Barbecue gets to stay there, tap the way it is, but a promise is that he will jet the line, clean the line more often is to not cause a problem. But someone years ago allowed home 1 to tap into home 2 instead of, so I don't know if that's something. There's no way that building has been there, I wouldn't think, flushing toilets or what have you. and then not be going somewhere. Unless you mentioned it had outhouses, maybe it's not.
That was just
outbuilding.
a story I heard. I'm not sure if that's true.
But I recall for some reason being back there many years ago because of a septic tank. So I don't know if you have a way of learning. Was that house on a septic tank? They never left the septic tank. They never hooked up to the new pipe that they could hook up to. They just kept things the same. I don't know if that's the case there or not, but
So with the wellhead that I just was working on, Amanda Trask from the Alliance had created or updated one of our maps that we had where it shows all of the old and currently old, existing, and out of date septic tanks. So I can go grab that map whenever and we can identify if there was that septic back there.
yeah, so my memory's not well anymore, but there's something about that backyard in the septic tank but I can't put the pieces of the puzzle together anymore. So it's something you could look into, but I agree with you. If there's a manhole, a pipe in between, it's pretty much fair to say 100% that belongs to the city. And with your natural easement rights on the left, on the right, above it, you have the right to allow that business to tap into its existing tap, which looks like it's already there because your camera told you. That would be my opinion from my experience.
If that's our main, then yeah, we can let people in it.
But it would be neat if you could get an old map and find that it shows those. I don't know.
I mean, you need to make sure we document that we have that video. Because then they want to appeal, if somebody wants to appeal it or come back and fight it, we need to be able to prove that it is our line, there's multiple addresses tapped into it, so it is considered a main.
Another thought too, if you said there was a clean out for hire a private plumber and let him run a camera down that clean out and let them determine, is it headed towards the main? Is it where it's going? So if there's a clean out there, I would personally.
I don't know it anymore, so.
Okay. Or if there's a pipe leaving the building, somewhere where a local plumber could run a TV from the building towards the street, so to speak. And you could learn a lot from that too.
Follow-up question to all of that, Scott. You found 3 pipes coming into, and is it into the manhole or is it into the pipe?
Awesome.
Me and Joe ran a camera down it. There was a lateral for the apartment building, a lateral for Hall Rock, and that's as far as that scope we had would reach.
So where are we getting the 3rd one?
Where
Where did you guys get that from? Because I was not there for any of that.
Did that plumber find a third?
He went up to, he was up halfway past the other building, going towards 101, and we hit solid crease.
So then you guys got to the second one, which
Yeah.
would have been
I
the
mean,
middle
that's as far as
building.
I could get it, then we went the other way and ran.
You hit solid what?
Grease.
So he's saying he never made it to the second manhole, the ending manhole, which is in other words, the beginning,
But,
know, 'cause
but the pipe was there.
but the pipe was there headed towards it.
We just couldn't ram it because we were going up by
The
hand.
other plumber did come down and clean out from the, what is that, the old bank building?
Mhm.
And I went right into the same main.
Same main. Yep. That's what it was there for those 4 buildings.
So if all 3 buildings are already in it. So there's 3 laterals. Do we know for sure that it's only 1 property per each of those 3 laterals that comes in?
I do not.
Okay, so it's unlikely, let's say, but conceivable.
Yep.
That there are even properties feeding into 1 or more of those laterals.
I could see it be conceivable, but I don't know how because there wouldn't be any other buildings there.
Okay, so no, there almost certainly isn't then. Okay.
What business is in the old bank right now?
There's not a business that got sold as residential, and that's a whole nother issue. So it's about to be vacant, from my
As
understanding.
he describes, running the camera, see a tap, see a second tap, grease, cannot make it all the way to the beginning manhole because it got blocked. But then they came to a clean out at the bank. So zero liquid has been able to leave the bank for
Yeah,
quite some time.
it probably needs to be
Questions.
cleaned out pretty fast.
Reasons of establish needs so we can
Yeah.
maintain.
Clean it as well.
Maintenance, yeah.
I don't know if there's any liquid leaving that building, to be honest, because I know for the first year and a half I worked here, Nathan Deerdorf was fixing it up and turned it into a studio apartment upstairs. As of 4 months ago, it finally sold. It got sold as residential. And the lady that had bought it was trying to move in, got told it could not be sold as residential. And from my understanding, she has not been living there. So I don't think there's been any liquids leaving the building in 2+ years.
I agree, because very little water was used out of that building when we built, and it was an active utility.
So then if we're gonna call it a city sewer and it's got grease in it, it's a city's job to open that up.
Fully agree.
And then,
And that's why I said it's another good reason to go ahead and establish this, because we need to maintenance it.
Where I'm going with the camera data and all that is if we're gonna draft prescriptive easement, we're gonna do it, it has to be defensible against anybody who wants to argue it.
Yeah.
So I want more rock solid proof from people. I've heard 1 lateral and then I heard 1 main, then I've heard 3 laterals in the manhole, I've heard 3 laterals in the pipe, but we can only see 2. We ran into a grease log, we came in and clean. The story doesn't seem very, it's not nailed down.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna go after it, we need to make sure we have our ducks in a row and that everybody understands, and we need to probably write a letter to the property owners that are there that it's gonna affect. State it in writing, like, hey, this is the intent we have. These are your options. Let's just put it all out there. And then if we want to sit down with them and have a discussion or another meeting and say, look, here's what we're going to do to solve this problem. Again, this is going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of effort by a lot of people, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. I just want it by the book. I want to come back in 6 months and be getting taken to court because we thought it was, but it really wasn't.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a good, I think it's be the best use of.
What is the problem here? If all 3 buildings are already in Maine, why can't we just document our easement, clean out the sewer and go on? Is there some 4th one trying to get in or something?
Yes,
Or do they touch the alley? Does their property touch the alley?
From the apartment, Hog Rock, and the bank, we know are tied into this line. The 4th building is the building in between the bank and the Hog Rock. That was the
Okay.
people that were trying to show up and work on unknown property, which started the whole disagreement.
they were just
Were they
trying to find a
cross
clean
the
out with our
neighboring
crew.
property or something?
Yes, which would have been on, I don't remember the guy's name who's got the parking lot.
Okay,
Gary
Is it Gary or?
Lack, but it's under contract.
Okay. So Gary Lack is the rightful property owner. So he would be the one to have first right of refusal, correct?
sure, before he lets somebody across his property.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, that.
Or would the
if he's got some contract with
The
somebody.
leasee would have the first right of refusal. I'd have,
It depends on what their agreement says.
Okay.
between the two of them. But I'm not, there again, I'm not sure, I'm not yet sure why that fight involves the town if it's a fight over whether one of them can cross the other one's property. If the properties all touch the alley where our main is, then they follow their own property to the main, right?
Theoretically,
Okay,
but the line that's in question that we've identified of having 3 laterals attached to it, the unknown main, is not in an easement and it's not in a right of way.
sure.
So,
But I'm saying, I'm saying, but in terms of our involvement.
Yeah.
Cleaning that up seems to be what the town does, and then maybe the town is done.
basically obtain the prescriptive easement because it's been in service for 200 years, however long this town's been around. Clean it out so people can actually utilize it, and then we're done. But we need to clear up to make sure the people, because if, say, I know Hog Rock, he wants to do some things to his backyard. So we need to make sure that we're very clear and very definitive so that we don't get into it with him.
So that he doesn't build something on top of
Yeah, and this Mr. Lack, if he changes his mind and doesn't want to lease it as a parking lot anymore, and he wants to build something, we gotta be very definitive.
I agree. Could not agree with you more.
So,
So
Is there like a list of what you need?
to a certain, we need to know exactly. We need to know exactly where it is in relation to these 3 properties.
Okay.
Is it is it 5 feet away from the property line? 20 feet away from the property line? And then another question becomes, how much room do we really need to be able to dig it up and replace it if we had to?
Yeah.
Is 10 feet enough? Does it need to be 20 feet? I'm not I'm not a sanitation
It was
engineer.
5 feet from the building, wasn't it?
do you know what depth is from the casting to the,
4 feet. From with everything in town is. Do you know the lease agreement with the parking lot? The leasing?
To a certain extent, I don't care as long as we can as long as we know where our own pipe is.
Yeah.
So that we can tell them where our own pipe is, so that they know where they can't build on top of.
if we got questions about size and setback or clearances, probably be a good question for either Lori or Dick. Kind of explain to them what the size is, how deep it is, how long it is. I mean, I know in my mind what I tell you, but I can't stamp anything and tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Usually double your depth is plenty enough to get down because you can go 1-to-1 on your slope.
Right.
And the pipe back each way, but when you're that close to a building foundation, you're gonna have to shore your excavation anyway. So you can skinny up a little bit. But that's a Dick and Lori question of, hey, we're this far from the building, we're this deep, and I need an easement for it. Tell me what size
What makes it need to be.
you recommend.
And again, this map may be totally accurate
Mhm.
in terms of how close the thing is to the property line. But it scares me that that we know there's some manholes that should be on it that aren't.
Yeah.
So I want to check to make sure, because the next thing that'll happen is otherwise we'll say, oh, our pipe runs, 5 feet from the property line. And then we're going to find out, oh, darn it, it's really 10 feet.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a problem.
I'm sorry, but I haven't got involved in this. I have to ask Luke the question. I was on the line, the understanding 3 buildings, 1 tap, 2 tap, 3. Now, I just learned there's 4. I
No.
appreciate that very much now. There's 4 buildings, correct?
But apparently there's a fourth one
Yeah.
trying to
So
get
it's
in.
that 4th building that's next to the bank.
In between the bank and
So
the
we
bar,
don't have 4 taps.
right.
We only have 3. But he brought up a very good question. If each of these 4 buildings has property adjoining that backyard and or the easement, 4 individual pieces of property, then again, I don't know where the question is.
Right.
That 3rd building, the 4th, if he has property touching the easement, he's more than welcome any night he wants, go out there with a shovel and start digging and run on the pipe. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's true.
But we don't have the easement currently. That's what,
It's an implied easement.
It's implied,
Right.
you want, the day you laid that pipe, put them 2 manholes in.
But plus, what he's saying is it doesn't stop him from digging up his own property to tap into the pipe, and I would agree with that. That's different than running across your neighbor's property to tap into it.
Even if it comes in a triangle and he only has 1 foot of his property that touches that easement area or the backyard, only 1 foot of it, he's allowed to get a shovel, go out there and dig. And dude can't say nothing and dude can't say nothing.
That's what we've been told.
So I don't see the question. If he literally has property touching easement, that's all it needs.
All 4 of them do?
All 4 properties have. But the sad thing is there's not a 4 tap. Why back in the day when we tap, we didn't tap for dude number 4?
The building's been empty for almost 40 years, so last person purchased it.
Still, when we run a manhole, lateral, a main, whatever you choose to call it, in anticipation, we look at the buildings and we will put in 4 taps.
That's what we did going all the way to Bentown, anticipating
And
future
sometimes
growth,
if
yeah.
there's not a building, but there's an empty lot, you still put in for the empty lot.
They didn't always do that. though.
Yeah, correct.
Well, I guess we don't know for sure. So what's between the dead end manhole and the grease plug?
Mhm.
Correct, there could be.
yeah, there could be another one there.
For there to be grease there, if that's what we're calling it, it sounds to me like it's, upstream from where any one of the businesses could have introduced grease. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So why, if grease can come in here, why is there grease upstream?
Yeah, it's another good thing. So what I'm understanding what we need to do right now is first order of business would be to go get the jetter, jet everything out, run the camera again, record it, mark the
Located.
distance
Okay, as you
between
suggested,
each tap.
find a
Like
four
you were,
tap.
like you were saying, 10 feet is this tap, 20 feet's this one. Hey, we got this grease thing cleared. This, hey, magically, here's a 3rd tap here. Mark it where it is, and then we get down to the other side. There's 4. Get them all labeled out.
How
Get 'em
far
all
off the
easement.
building you are,
Mhm.
where your manholes are, you can GPS those with your
Yep.
inventory management tool. So you got coordinates on them, and then we've got real data.
Yeah.
And then at that point,
And then the thing we do is we prepare a description of that.
Yep.
And we notify all the property owners. Property is being run through. Has already been run through.
yep,
Hey, we're reminding you that the main is there and here's the description for it. And we're gonna be recording a notice of this so that in the future, anybody that owns any of these properties knows that when they get it. And again, I wasn't trying to harsh you, and I'm still not. I would like to know if there's any place else
Yeah.
where we need to do this.
Yep.
Because now's a good time to do it.
Yes.
last question for me. property owner puts in an improvement. Let's not call it a structure because you can't put a structure over top of utility.
Right.
Put in an improvement. So if there's a patio, a fence, something that's an improvement, that's not a structure, that's replaceable. Town has to come dig up the sewer and replace it. Whose responsibility is it to put the improvement back?
Without them having any notice that there's an easement there, it's ours. That's another thing that putting everybody on notice does. If you knowingly put something in somebody else's easement, I have an easement across your front yard, you know it, and you plant a tree there anyway, and when I have to use my easement, if I have to tear down your tree, I'm not liable for the tree. If you didn't know that I had the easement, you can argue, well, this easement's for your benefit, nobody bothered to tell me. Pay me for my tree. Yes.
Yep. So just make sure we get it recorded.
Yeah.
Another thing too, with that, if I might add, in case you don't know, when we do run a main, and we lateral, we typically run the T and then the lateral for that home. We run it so far. In the city of Cincinnati, it's to the sidewalk. So me as a homeowner looking out at the street, there's the sidewalk and then the street. The city is responsible all the way up to the end of the sidewalk. So if I have to call a plumber, I got a plug. He says, David, it's 5 feet towards your house from the sidewalk. It's me. He says it's 2 foot on the other side of the sidewalk. And that this just recently happened. And we saved $20,000 because I could prove that the stoppage was in the middle of the sidewalk. So they literally come and they had to dig the whole street.
Thank God for clay pipes.
Yeah. And so your easement, and you're right, hopefully if you was to ever dig that up and send a camera, you would see that's not only a T and a tap, that you own 5 feet from their own or 10 feet or whatever. So for this homeowner, the fourth one, if you did find a fourth pipe or you didn't, it typically is the city's responsibility then to put him in a T a time, run it up to his property line. Not here. Okay. You don't have to do it that way here, but to have him then do all the digging with shovel, backhoe, dig down to your main, and now he has to put in a T. Then that's on him and that's an expense for him. But you need to come to sometime down the road an agreement. Yes, you did that, you paid for it, but I will be responsible for 3 feet on the other side of that T. Unless you want your rule be, you're responsible for 0 feet down all the way up to the main.
Now, that's the current ordinance.
Yes.
Okay.
So you need exactly where it is, location, how far away, how deep. The clearance that's needed for that. How big does that clearance need to be? And GPS, the pipe and the manholes. Do you need anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously I'll need to round up the names of the owners and so forth, and make sure they get, so we get the notices to the right people.
Do you want the owner, registered property owner plus the contract or just the contract?
That depends on whether or not the contract has been recorded. If it's been recorded, we would have to send those to both.
Okay. So just get both in case.
That's true. It does, what harm is there in
Okay.
giving an extra notice? So,
In the event the
Anything
contract ends, we want the property owner to have.
exactly.
I don't have anything else now.
And then I just again to make sure that we're not, to make sure that us uneducated and semi-educated amateurs aren't messing this up. Is somebody going to call Dick Weigel or Lori to say, are we thinking right that this is how much width we need for something this deep?
Yeah. I'll be talking to her this week.
That's
anyway.
beautiful.
I'm gonna call Dick too, because he seems to have our older maps.
That would be fantastical. So maybe he's got a better one actually than we do. So maybe.
He had all our smoke testing from 20 years ago and all that, so see if he has something else on file.
Okay. We don't need any motions or anything.
I don't think so.
You need a motion to table or
Why tape?
or just,
I mean, these guys aren't making any final decisions. So
Be sure if anybody checked in that closet downstairs behind the bathrooms for any more maps. You have,
we haven't been through all of them.
there used to be a bunch down there. It's been quite a while since I've been in there.
has anybody called Terry to see if he knows where they're squirreled away?
I haven't talked. I haven't spoken with him in quite a while. Probably
I'm
should
just thinking
probably do a phone call.
he may
I
know.
just recently heard Carl Bruns had a ton of them that even we didn't have years ago in his basement.
You might get older Byron.
Yeah.
Byron might know where some maps are from his dad. I think most of Carl's maps were.
So do you want us just to reach out by email when we've accomplished what the list that you want?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, to schedule again?
I don't think we need another meeting for this, do we?
I guess it depends on how quick it all comes together, but you know,
I believe time is
I'm at your
holding
guys'
people, other people
disposal.
up. We should be taken seriously either way.
I mean, do we have to, once we get all these things and we're ready to, do we have to adopt this easement?
I guess you vote
Okay.
to enforce it, basically.
Yeah, we can, once we have everything, we can schedule another
See
meeting.
how close it is to the next meeting. If it's too close to the next meeting, then don't schedule one. Yep. Okay. We have a task.
That's adjournment.
I'll make my
I'll second.
7:20 p.m. I'm learning things I never thought I would be learning.
Oh, my God. Every day's a school day for John.
I guess.
Fun to learn the ways of the old world.
Yeah.
There we go.